Welcome everyone to Secrets for Extreme Virtual Engagement from yours truly, the Zoom Queen. I know I added the word extreme because I like to really deliver an experience that wows people because I get it. You need to deliver information. Usually, what are the purposes of a presentation? You need to persuade, you need to educate, you need to inform, you need to inspire, and the list goes on. But if you do all that stuff and your audience is not with you, then you could potentially lose them. Am I right? You
Yes.
don't want to lose them. You don't want them to go, oh, la la land. You don't want them to multitask, turn on Netflix, turn on MSNBC to see what's going on with the country. You get what I'm saying? You want them to stay zoned in. And so make your virtual meeting unpredictable. So I just gave you a tip. Make it unpredictable. Make it where I don't know what's going to happen next. I just know that you're going to give me what I came on for. Okay. So let's go ahead and move along and you're going to learn some things here. So first of all, I created the whole motto of Zoom like a boss. Just so you know, I've been Zooming since Zoom launched almost a decade ago. And I just joined the I tried out the platform like some of the others that were around at that time and that are still around. But for some reason, Zoom stood out to me. With Zoom, I realized, oh my goodness, as a presenter, as a producer, as an expert, as an entrepreneur, I'm able to create whatever experience I want to create. And that's a very big deal. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I love Zoom. Oh, thank you. That's why I love Zoom so much. And then before I knew it, I would go to industry conferences and I would share with people, oh yeah, I did this on Zoom and I did that on Zoom. People are, what is this Zoom? Why you talk about it so much? I'm like, well, because it makes me money, saves me time, maximizes my energy, and makes me just look good and sound good. And they're like, huh? And guys, this was years ago. And I remember some of my colleagues were like, she's nuts. And other colleagues were like, tell me more. And then I kept sharing more. Guys, I was doing meetups. It just went, Zoom just became my world. And just to be clear, I am a professional speaker. That's what I do for a living. I create speakerpreneurs. These are individuals that use speaking to grow their business. So I know on this call, we have someone who has a legal business or a way that she helps people legally. I didn't get a chance to ask Sherry what she did. I know Trish is a meeting planner, and there's all different types of backgrounds that use Zoom for different reasons. Well, for me, I just wanted a way to reach my audiences without leaving home. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. So first things first, I just want to make sure that you join my list. Now, I didn't add the slide, but if you can write this down, I'll put this in the chat room. If you text 474747, you text Zoom Queen. I'm new to this. Text Zoom Queen. I'm sorry, text the word Zoom Queen. Doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. Type the word Zoom Queen to 474747. You will be added to my text emails, and that way you'll know when I'm giving Zoom updates. Like today, I'm actually giving a Zoom update at 5 p.m. and I'm going live on 3 different platforms: YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom, all at the same time. So if you're like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm just full of different ways, different strategies, tips, tools, and resources on how to leverage Zoom to grow your business. And these are just some of the few things I may talk about. You know, what should you do with Zoom lighting? What is this Zoom for home? Should I get it? What about the on Zoom platform? Quick note, I don't like it. They need to make it work better. Zoom filters, all these different sorts of things. So again, if you want to keep up with that, text 474747 to Zoom Queen. Okay. And you can also, for some reason, if that doesn't work or it's weird, or in addition to that, and you want to download my ebook, make sure you're on my email list by going to zoomqueen.com. And page down, you can get a free ebook on how to create the most powerful Zoom virtual background. All right, guys, I want to take you on this journey. Okay. And again, my goal is to just sort of give you different things you can do. first things first, make your journey simple, simple yet unique. And one of the ways to do that is to commit to using Zoom. I understand you're going to be in situations where you're going to have to use a different platform, but when it's your choice and you can choose, I beg you to choose Zoom. There's way more flexibility for you as the presenter and the host, and it's a more user-friendly platform. And I don't know about you, but when I'm an attendee, I like to feel heard. Anybody like me? I like to feel acknowledged a little bit. Yeah, right, Carol. And I like to feel, and if I'm just in somebody's chat room or, and sometimes that works for me. Sometimes, I mean, for whatever reason, I don't want to show my face, but for the most part, I like to be seen and I like to be acknowledged by whoever the guest is. And it makes me feel like there's a connection and that they see me, if that makes sense. Even if it's hundreds of us, I still like that ability. So, make the journey as personable as you can. Again, our new normal now is Zoom or Zooming or virtual connection. So why not make it as close to being personable as you can? Frankly, even before the pandemic, I would still let people pick my brain via Zoom, have lunch with my colleagues or my friends or my clients via Zoom. I would still use Zoom in every way possible. I wouldn't even meet my clients on the phone. I would say, you got to meet me on Zoom. What? I don't want, no, meet me on Zoom. They had to meet me on Zoom because it gives me the flexibility to truly hold a full-fledged meeting without a lot of the work. Or you can, if you choose, decide to be in a restaurant that's loud and distracting, and you never know if the Wi-Fi is going to work. So step number one, choose Zoom. Make it a lot easier, okay? So the next thing you want to do is ask yourself, what's your virtual event goal? What is your goal? So here's some ideas here. Hey, Marquesa, I want more clients. And you guys can put, since you're here, you can put in the chat room what your goal is. Maybe it's more clients, more speaking engagements. Maybe you're launching a new product. Maybe you're trying to engage your employees, keep your employees engaged. You want your employees to feel like you see them. Maybe you want to inspire. And maybe you just want visibility and branding, because here's another cool thing about Zoom is you can live stream with it. I don't know if you guys heard me earlier today, but later today at 5 p.m. and I do this some Mondays now, I'll stop kind of towards the middle of the year or a little bit before Christmas, and I'll resume in 2021, the first Monday in February. But I like to do these short 30-minute updates. And what's so cool is I can live stream on Facebook to make that happen. As long as Zoom is a part of the mix, I'm happy, because Zoom records it. It transcribes it. It allows other people to join me in the Zoom room. You get me? It just gives me all that flexibility. So that's the piece I love. Here's a quick thing. Zoom also allows me to be strategic with whatever my goal is. So I mentioned the goals earlier. So if I want to get more clients, then I can impress my clients with my waiting room. I can impress my clients with my branding. I can impress my client by bringing them into music and all these different things. If there's a speaking engagement or something, I can just be solo and not have any faces on the screen. That way I'm in full control and I'm able to have a whole production on my end. So I like that it allows me to be strategic. That is really important to me. Just so you know my background, I've been a full-time professional speaker for 15 years. The core of what I teach is business reinvention. So I'm always helping experts and the like grow their business. And I more so love to help them grow their business virtually. So of course, Zoom is a part of the mix. This used to be me, y'all. You see that kind of chunky girl? All right, fat girl sitting down in all the black, because I wore black because it made me feel smaller. And boy, was I stuck in that body for about 7 or 8 years, and I didn't like it so much. But part of the reason I got that way is because I was traveling quite a bit to speak for my different speaking clients. I would speak 6 hours a day, take a quick lunch. So it had to be something quick. So I really couldn't think about it. So what does that mean? Fast food, right? Then after everything was over, I had to hop in my car and drive to my next city. And as glamorous as that sounded, it was extremely unhealthy. You hear me? Then I would hop in the car. I'm hungry, go by a fast food place, get to the hotel. I'm exhausted. Maybe I'll grab a dessert or something. And the pounds just came on and I couldn't get them off. It was horrible. So one of the reasons I love leveraging Zoom pre-pandemic and definitely now is because I like to be in my own space. That way I can eat what I want to eat. Does that make sense to anyone? You know, I can, yeah, right. I mean, guys, I have Splendid Spoon they're noodles, and don't get me started on food. Don't get me started. This webinar will turn into all about food, but I have a lifestyle business, you know, because my thought is, why do I work for myself if I'm not happy? You know what I mean? So a lifestyle business means that you're building the business around the lifestyle that honors your soul the most. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's another reason that I love leveraging Zoom. So again, Zoom is my meeting room. It's my stage. It's my office. It's my studio. It's my follow-up machine. It's everything, guys. If it was a man, I'd marry it. Okay. So I just love this entire experience here. And what you can do on this platform is unlimited. Trish is on right now. Trish met me with SBU. She heard me speak. She's a meeting planner. Then she started to work with me. She's one of my licensees, and she just happens to be on. So it's great. And Trish remembers this event, which was, I think this particular client had 167 nominees. And this was normally black tie event they would do in person, 5-star. It was a 4-star, but it was very high end. And they were like, we can't do this on Zoom. And boy, were they so wrong, until they met Zoom Queen, of course. We got together. I asked them, what are your goals of the event? What is it that you want to do? Then I gave them ideas. They were like, I can do that. I can do red carpet. We can have a pre-party. We can engage people. I'm like, yes, yes, and yes. Okay. So then, guys, by the time this event was executed, we started off their event on Zoom meeting, you know, where we could see everyone's faces. There were several watch parties. There were about 15 or 20 employees, members, rather, I should say, at each watch party. Then once the watch party was over, we sent them over to Zoom webinar, where we had a more formal award ceremony. You get me? You see my virtual background where all the gold is coming down. You see my little dress that was on. I even have my little microphone. This is, again, the possibility of Zoom. So that's what I'm talking about. And look at this. I mean, Zoom, when I meet with my members, it's like we're in a virtual classroom. I had to speak to a bunch of professional speakers when the pandemic first hit, to share my secrets on how I Zoom to grow my business. And that was a picture of that. And if you notice, it's hard to see it here, but on that monitor in the background, I put my logo. You know, I put the name of my business. So many things you can do. And you see my audience over to the right. So there's so many things you can do, guys. Again, I love doing what I do in person, of course. There's nothing like it. But what comes pretty darn close is the Zoom world. And these are some of the success, a lot of the success I've had because I've leveraged Zoom. You notice it says here, 6-figure corporate deal. Well, one of those deals came from Microsoft. You guys may have heard of that company. And I had the privilege of being flown out to Seattle and speaking on their main stage. That's a picture of it right there. And I also did 3 breakout sessions. But I would love to say that just happened. They initially had contacted me 2 years before just to do a breakout at their internal conference. They were like, oh, we saw you speak. You're amazing. I still got all the notes, blah, blah, blah. Come in here. We want to hear you speak. And then, we want you to come and do a breakout. And guess what I did? I didn't just email them and say, thank you. And sure, this is how much I charge. Give me all the logistics. Instead, I said, Sarah, would you mind meeting me on Zoom so I can learn more about your event? And I brought her on Zoom, blew her away, asked her important questions. And before I knew it, you know, I convinced her to use me in a bigger way. And that turned into a success story. So when I say you can do anything on Zoom, I mean it. Again, I call it Zoom like a boss, which means leveraging the Zoom platform to grow in your business, resulting in smart meetings, stellar presentations, more business, leverage time and energy. Okay. Carol says over the last 3 days, I attended, looks like she attended a huge event with over 40,000 in attendance from around the world. It was amazing. And it was done. Yep. That's the thing. You want that strong, beautiful event. Okay. So if you want to know, well, why should we listen to you, Marquesa? A lot of people know Zoom. Well, first of all, not a lot of people have known Zoom as long as I have, or know the different levels of Zoom. And I'm not all about, let's just do all these fun things on Zoom. I actually know Zoom in a business growth kind of way, if that makes sense. I use it strategically, and that makes a major difference. I have a leg of my business called the Zoom Support Studio, where clients, sort of like the one I mentioned earlier, you know, the awards, 167 nominees, where people will come to me and say, this is our goal. I actually have 3 or 4 productions my team is working on as we speak. I'm also what's called a Zoom administrator. So I'm not an employee of Zoom or even a contractor of Zoom. I decided, because I love Zoom so much, and I've built such a tribe of people that follow me to see what's the latest and greatest of Zoom, that it made sense. And I did it earlier this year, right after the pandemic, after a lot of people asked me. I decided, you know what? I want to invest in the highest license of Zoom. And I want to help other people do the same. Because if you go to zoom.us and you go to licenses or different plans, you'll see, if you go all the way to the highest plan, is Zoom Enterprise. If you wanted to get Zoom Enterprise by yourself, it will require you to purchase 100 licenses. Those 100 licenses directly from Zoom would be $19.99 each. Anyone want to do the math? I'll help you out. That's $2,000 a month. So most people, I'm assuming, they don't love Zoom enough to pay them $2,000 a month. Am I right? So instead, but I love Zoom that much. And so I have 100 licenses under me, and now I've grown to 200 licenses. So again, I have some of those are left over. I actually just added a couple of licensees this morning. So I'm down about 42 licenses. And when those are gone, I'm chilling for a while because I buy them in blocks, if that makes sense. So and again, and what I do is, you can go to, if you want to go directly to the page where I lay this out, because you can go via zoomqueen.com as well. You can go to zoomtoincome.com, zoomtoincome.com. And here is where I lay out what the highest level of Zoom is. Quick and dirty of it, guys. Zoom Pro is what most people have. Now, Zoom free, I don't really talk about that because it just has none of the benefits of the paid version. Okay. If you have Zoom Pro, which is $15 a month, you can host up to 100 participants. You get 1 gigabyte of cloud storage, unlimited meetings, and a little bit of limited email and chat support only. Okay. With Enterprise, you get 500 participants. Even so, you can, again, even if you don't use it, somebody else you know may use it. You get unlimited cloud storage, which is a very big deal. I was saying earlier, when I record, like I'm recording this, I can share the recording where you just see my face. So that's called the speaker view. I can share the recording where you see the gallery view, which means you see everyone's face. I can share the transcription, which is a big deal. That's a recording. The audio, that's a recording. So I can do 6, 7, or 8 different recordings, guys, per event. And that takes up about 4 to 5 gigabytes of space. You hear me? So I don't want to go into my Zoom account and change that out or worry about running out of storage. So because it's unlimited cloud storage, it's literally a library for me. And me and my team go in, we label it, and we just download it as needed. Does that make sense? Zoom meetings and webinars are also a part of it. Zoom meeting is what we're in now, where you can see everyone's face. You can do breakout rooms. It's more interactive. I call it your virtual classroom. Zoom webinar is more so where it's sort of your own one-to-many situation. This is when you have hundreds. Yeah, you can even have a small group, but this is where you don't necessarily need to see the participants to give them an experience. Does that make sense? So you can still present and you have a lot more flexibility. You are 100% in control of everyone, of whose face is seen, because you can promote people into panelists. This is also good when you're interviewing a few people and you don't want any interruptions. You don't want any sounds or anything that can hurt. And what I love the most about Zoom webinar is the whole registration process that Zoom has set up. They make it to where you can do your event from idea to launch all on Zoom. You don't need to go off to anything else. I use a magnificent system called Kajabi that carries all my stuff from landing pages to websites to emails. You can find out more about that by going to virtualspeakerstudio.com. Even with that powerful system, there are times when I want to do Zoom events and I don't want to go through that. I just want Zoom to handle it all. And that's what's cool about Zoom webinar, because you can register people, you can put speaker information, bio information, and then Zoom will follow up with people as well. So it's a win-win. Now you get a level of dedicated support from me and my team. I'll explain that more when you become a member, and you get over $1,000 access to my courses where I break down, how do I use a Zoom room? How do I leverage Zoom to grow my business? How do I use it as a classroom? How do I use it as a stage? How do I use it as a studio? You get access to all of that. So it's kind of like I'm giving you the license for free. So if you're thinking, I really want to leverage Zoom to grow my business, this is a no-brainer. Okay. So if you have more questions on that, send a question to my team at mlpspeak.com and we will be sure to answer that. So going more into leveraging Zoom, guys, understand it's more than a meetings platform. The possibilities are endless. First of all, one of the things you want to do when you're giving an experience is to set yourself up. When people first come on or early in the webinar or early in the, and I don't call them webinars, I call them virtual events because there's different types. Zoom just calls it Zoom webinar because it's a different platform. And it's because if it just said Zoom 1 and Zoom 2, people would get confused. So that's why they call it Zoom webinar, but you can do whatever you want on that platform. So I have a checklist that I love to give to all my participants who makes it better. So here's a little thing that I also want to mention to you. There is a difference between Zoom meeting and Zoom webinar. Quick and dirty of it is Zoom meeting is an interactive virtual stage where I can reach out and talk to you. There's a waiting room, there's breakout rooms, and there's a customized meeting link. One thing Zoom gives you when you pay for an account, which means your license, is they give you your own kind of phone number or address, but it's a URL on Zoom. Isn't that cool? You get your own meeting URL. So that's so cool because you can send that out and people can meet you right in your meeting room. You don't have to do registration or any of that if it's a smaller group, okay? There's PayPal integration and there's file transfer as well, okay? So Zoom webinar, guys, I talked about this a little bit earlier. This is end to end. There is a version of a waiting room on there called the on hold webinar waiting room. So let's say you have 4 or 5 speakers you're interviewing. You may not want them all out at the same time. You can bring them in a little bit. When I was on the Tamron Hall show, I even did something with Oprah and Weight Watchers. We were in the on hold webinar waiting room before they brought us out. So it's kind of cool. There's a designated Q&A section where people can, which is separate from the chat, which is cool. So that way you don't get confused. Because again, usually the Zoom webinar platform has way more people in it. Here's a fave is detailed reports. That way, you know, all right, Cheryl came in at this time. This is how much she paid attention on it. These were her questions. You know, you can ask a zillion questions and you get all of these reports and you don't get the same on Zoom meeting. It's less likely to get Zoom bombed, which as a note, guys, Zoom, one of the tips you got to take from me, and I'm gonna put it in the chat room, is you got to just bookmark zoom.us/download and make sure you always update, because Zoom comes out with an update pretty much every week, guys. Every week, just about. Make sure you have the latest Zoom. Less than a month ago, they came out with a security update. Mega. security update, which means if you're in a meeting and somebody bombs you, there is a security icon right in your control panel. You click that security icon and everything freezes. You hear me? The meeting doesn't end. It's not interrupted. It just freezes. It's like everybody frozen. And then as soon as you find the person, you kick them to the curb and then it restarts. Is that awesome or what? But in order to get all of these new features, you got to stay updated. Is that cool? So you're less likely to get bombed on either one, Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar, but especially webinar because it's super, super secure. You can use it as a meeting, but you'll have to promote each participant into a panelist. There are reminders, and you can do a practice session, which means kind of before I go on stage time, which I love, okay? Now here's an example of like a meeting link I set up, kind of a customized domain I created, zoomqueenroom.com. I have GoDaddy as one of my domain host providers. And I just created that. And then I took my Zoom link and redirected it there. That way, if Trish or Carol or Sherry wants to join me on Zoom, I don't have to say, hey, it's zoom.us/1234. I could be walking outside. I do walk on occasion when I'm really good. And so I may send you a text via email and I want it to be quick and easy. And that's a good way to do it. Does that make sense? All right, good, good, good. So there's a customized link there. There's also a waiting room. You can put your own picture in there. You can put your own, message in there. And in the first quarter of next year, there will be a way for participants in your waiting room. They got to prove who they say they are by doing a quick little video for you. Is that cool or what? So it's getting intense. You can even put a resource in your waiting room if you choose. Okay. And again, this is an example of me bringing in people into the meeting, mind mapping out what they needed, breaking them into breakout rooms, sharing my screen in order to share the mind map. And I transcribe everything, guys. I don't transcribe, Zoom transcribes. Guys, I used to pay a transcriber $150 a month to transcribe all my Zoom meetings, sometimes more, depending on how many meetings and how long they were. Now Zoom does it all and they transform the video, the audio, and the written. You hear me? That's a very big deal. You know what else I do? Zoom has an app. And by the way, congratulations, Zoom. I just saw on my smartphone that Zoom was voted the best app in the universe. Hey. And so make sure you download the Zoom app. That is really important. It makes your meetings better. It's an awesome thing. And so if you're on the go or you just want to dial in from multiple places, use that because that can be an extra camera for you, right? So there's Zoom transcription as well. And there's also follow-up. Again, Zoom follows up for you. At the end of every meeting, it sends me a link and it says, hey, you can send this out to follow up if you want. So if I'm meeting with one person or something, I can send that to them, or during the meeting, I can just put my mouse on top of their head, and as the host, I can allow them to record, and as soon as the meeting is over, they got their own copy. I love it. Zoom makes my life easier. You hear me? Okay, so they make their links easy to share. Here's a little thing. Just put this in your head for a second. You know how you do a recording, right? And remember I mentioned there's a speaker recording, there's a gallery recording, there's a speaker shared recording where you're sharing your PowerPoints. You can even share your PowerPoints all by themselves without your face on it. You get the point. There's multiple recordings you can ask for per Zoom event that you do. Well, here's a cool thing about it. I can log into, and this is only on Zoom Enterprise. I can log into my backend and I can send just one of those recordings with a small link. Guys, I remember back in the day, you used to have to download the video, upload it to YouTube to share it. You remember that? You don't have to do any of that now. It's just a link, a link. Or you may say, I want to share them all. I want to share them. This is my group. I want to share all the recordings with them. Again, one link. So you can either share one recording or all the recordings via one link. That's how smart Zoom is. It just makes life so much easier. Here's a reminder. If there is a question that you have about Zoom Enterprise, or you want to inquire about my Zoom Support Studio, go to team@mlpspeak.com and you can do that. All right. And then also zoomqueen.com. I have a lot of quick little links there. One of the newest links that I created is, people are always asking me, where am I broadcasting? And lately I've been broadcasting on Facebook, and YouTube all via Zoom. So if you're like, well, where do I go? How do I watch you without me bringing you into my Zoom room? Because sometimes I don't have time to do that since it's a short update. Make sure you join my text list, okay? And I never know how to say it, but you're going to text Zoom Queen to 474747, okay? I want to show one more thing about Zoom webinar, and we'll pretty much be closing out. Registration, which I talked about earlier, presentation one to many, there's email reminders, and there's a quick thing that I wanted to mention, webinar on demand, which is a big deal, which means let's say that I have a presentation and Cheryl, and this is just Zoom webinar, guys, and Cheryl misses the presentation because she was busy and she wasn't able to come, although she had previously planned it. Well, guess what? All she does is goes back to the registration page, and instead of registering for another time or sending me an email and saying, hey, team at MLP speaking, you send me the recording, she can simply go right back to that registration page, guys. And now it will say, instead of, do you want to register for this webinar? It'll say, do you want to watch the recording on demand right now? You hear me? And then if she says yes, or she makes a decision to, she puts in whatever registration information I require. And then as soon as she hits submit, the webinar shows up. Is that cool or what? And then as the host, I get an email that she's watching it. So that webinar on demand is everything. Okay, it's wonderful. The last quick little trick I'll show you, which is kind of cool, is I have a lot of promotional events. So I will post my stuff everywhere, and I like to know where did I get the most traction. So Zoom will ask me, all right, give me a source code. What is it? A source. Give me they'll ask me for a source name. I'm sorry, source name. So I can type in whatever my source name is. You see that plus? I just add plus, type in Facebook, type in email, type in YouTube. That's it. And then it will give me a tracking URL just for that particular platform. And all I do is copy and paste it and share it on that platform. And then it will tell me the number of registrations as well as visitors who were considering registering that came from that platform. And this is good for me to know, promoting my own events, because I want to know where my people are hanging out. So Zoom does all this for you, and it just goes beyond, guys. I can go all day. There are filters that you can use. I use this for marketing. I can use a filter right now if I wanted to. Filters are fabulous. Again, it up levels the experience really, really well. And I consider this like the Zoom studio. You can go into the back end and do some things here if needed in terms of settings, if you need to do all of that stuff, okay? So and then Zoom reactions and Zoom virtual slides, and it goes on and on and on. But I want to pause to see if there's any questions. Maybe there was something you heard that you really liked, or if you have any questions about Zoom Enterprise, I want to address those right now. I do want to show one other thing that's called Zoom virtual slides. You do need a virtual background to use this one. And this is where you can kind of move your stuff around. So it's going to look weird if you don't have a nice Zoom virtual background. You still need that. But, and in order to do this, you got to go to share. You got to click on slides as virtual background, and then you're going to bring up your slides. It's going to open up, go into your computer and look for those slides and pull them up. But it's still in beta, so it's not a lot of flexibility with those slides, but it still works. So any questions? Any questions for me?
One of the things about the Zoom background is sometimes when I try to use certain backgrounds, it tells me I need a green screen.
Yep.
What does that mean?
A green screen is something you normally, and guys, go to zoomqueen.com and download my creating a virtual background / equipment guide. So I put in there the green screens that you need to purchase. That means a big screen that goes behind you. Okay. And they can be they're not that expensive. They can be as cheap as 30, 40 bucks all the way on up. But you need a big screen that goes behind you. So go and download my ebook, Sherry, and it'll give you step by step with what to do in Zoom, what to purchase, how to use it, all that good stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. But that's how you do it there. Any other questions?
Really quick, is there a way you can send a customized link via text to remind your guests to come to their meetings or webinars? Is there a way you can send a reminder text?
Zoom does not offer that service right now, as far as I know. You'll kind of have to use your own text service and then just use the Zoom link for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But Zoom, guys, I will tell you the first quarter of next year, definitely by March of 2021, Zoom is coming out with lower thirds, which means your name and your company is right below you in a fancy way, kind of like on the news. They're coming out with chat bubbles so you can see what people are thinking during your events. They're coming out with debrief rooms. It's so many, they're coming out with star chat. You can star certain messages. There's so many things they're coming out with. So if you want to know how to keep up with everything, make sure you join my email list by going to zoomqueen.com or texting Zoom Queen to 474747. The possibilities are endless. So was this helpful for you? Do you feel inspired? Make sure, guys, Zoom is the limit. Now, guys, I couldn't go over everything, but the good thing is if you do become a Zoom Enterprise member, again, you can do that by going directly to Zoom, toincome.com, or you can go to zoomqueen.com and page down. If you're one of my Zoom Enterprise members, I have one on right now, you are able to participate in my Zoom training. And I do it live almost every other month, pretty much. And then there's about 4 or 5 courses that are on demand. So as soon as you sign up, you get access to those courses. You get access to Zoom Basics, Zoom Strategically. I just did last month, Zoom Know, Grow, and Impress. So you get access to a lot. All right. And it's so many other Zoom resources. I guess that's what they call me, Zoom Queen. All right, guys, I got to hit it because I got yet another Zoom production coming up in a bit. But it has been my pleasure to teach you how to Zoom like a boss. Remember, you have any questions, do not hesitate. Go to team@mlpspeak.com. Okay, so I'm going to stop share.